You're 8 years old when you first realize you're naturally left-footed, and everyone treats it like you've got some kind of superpower. Oh, he's a lefty, they say, like you've been blessed by the football gods. What they do not tell you is that being left-footed in football is like being left-handed in a world built for righties, except instead of struggling with scissors, you're about to spend the next 20 years running up and down the same strip of grass while everyone else gets to have fun. Your first coach puts you at left back because, quote, we need someone who can cross with their left foot. You don't know what a cross is yet, but you nod like you understand. You think you're playing defense? You think you're protecting something? What you're actually doing is signing up for a lifetime of being the most underappreciated, overworked, and misunderstood player on the pitch. By age 12, you've learned the left back's golden rule. You can't just defend anymore. Modern football demands that you bomb forward, whip in crosses, track back, cover center halves, stop wingers, create width, provide overlaps, and somehow still be in position when the opposition counters. You're not a defender, you're a Swiss Army knife with legs. And just like a Swiss Army knife, you're incredibly useful, but nobody ever thinks about you until they need you. You start noticing that right backs get called attacking fullbacks while you read just the left back. The right back gets praised for his pace and crossing ability. You do the exact same thing, but because you're left-footed, it's just expected. Right backs are dynamic. Left backs are functional. Right backs are exciting. Left backs are reliable. It's like being the responsible sibling who never gets credit because your parents assume you'll just handle everything. High school comes and suddenly everyone's obsessed with formations. 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 3-5-2, in every single formation, you're expected to be three players at once. When they play 4-4-2, you're the left midfielder. When they play 4-3-3, you're the wing back. When they play 3-5-2, you're basically running a marathon up and down the touchline while the wing backs get called innovative and modern. You're not innovative. You're exhausted, your teammates start developing specialties. The striker scores goals. The goalkeeper makes saves. The center back clears balls. The midfielder controls the game. What's your specialty? Everything. You tackle, you cross, you track runners, you bomb forward. You sit deep, you press high, you cover inside, you provide width. You're the football equivalent of a utility player, except instead of being rotated around positions, you're doing 6 positions simultaneously. College recruitment comes around and scouts talk about your work rate and versatility. They never mention your pace or your technique or your football IQ. They talk about how you get up and down the flank and put in a shift. You realize that work rate is scout code for this kid will run until his lungs explode and never complain. You're not being recruited for your ability. You're being recruited for your willingness to suffer. You make the college team, and the coach's first instruction is simple. Just get forward when you can, but don't get caught out of position. It's like being told to juggle while walking a tightrope. Get forward, but not too far. Attack, but be ready to defend. Be aggressive, but be disciplined. Take risks, but be safe. You're playing football with 100 different rules that only apply to you. The center backs beside you are having philosophical discussions about pressing triggers and defensive lines. Meanwhile, you recalculating whether you have enough gas in the tank to make another overlapping run after spending the last 20 minutes chasing their winger, who's apparently consumed nothing but Red Bull and cocaine. The right back gets subbed off in the 75th minute because he's done his job. You play 90 minutes plus stoppage time because left backs don't get tired. They just get more determined. Professional trials come around, and they test your crossing with both feet, your pace over 40 yards, your defensive heading, your ability to play 1-2s in tight spaces, and your stamina over 90 minutes. The striker gets tested on his finishing. The goalkeeper gets tested on his shot stopping. You get tested on whether you can be a left back, left midfielder, left wing back, and emergency center back all in the same afternoon. You sign your first professional contract, and the manager's tactical briefing is longer for you than anyone else. When we have the ball, I want you high and wide. When we don't have the ball, I want you tucked in and compact. When their right winger comes inside, you follow him. When their striker drops deep, you step up. When their right back overlaps, you track him. When we're winning, sit deep. When we're losing, get forward. When we're drawing, do both. The striker's instruction is score goals. Your first professional match, you complete more passes than anyone else on the team, make more tackles than the center backs, run more distance than the midfielders, and deliver more crosses than the wingers. The match report mentions your solid performance, while the striker who missed 3 chances gets praised for his promising movement. You're not looking for praise. You're looking for recognition that you just played 4 positions simultaneously without making a single mistake. The tactical evolution of football makes everything worse. Wing-backs become fashionable, and suddenly everyone expects you to be Roberto Carlos. Why don't you dribble past 3 players and score from 30 yards? They ask, because I'm also supposed to be Paolo Maldini, that's why. You're expected to have the attacking instincts of a winger, the defensive discipline of a center back, the stamina of a marathon runner, and the crossing ability of David Beckham. And you're expected to do it all while being largely invisible. You watch Match of the Day, and they show highlights of strikers scoring tap-ins and call them clinical finishing. They show goalkeepers making routine saves and call them brilliant reflexes. When you slide in for a last-ditch tackle after tracking back 60 yards to clean up someone else's mistake, they call it good defending and move on. You prevent more goals than you'll ever score, but goals are highlight reels. Preventing goals is just your job. The analytics era arrives, and suddenly everyone's obsessed with your expected assists, your progressive passes, your defensive actions per game, and your involvement in build-up play. You're generating more data than a NASA computer, but people still only notice you when you make a mistake. You complete 40 passes, make 6 tackles, deliver 3 crosses, and run 12 kilometers. But the one time you get caught out of position, that's what they remember. You develop a routine. Ice bath after every match, not because you're pampered, but because your legs have covered more ground than a Google Street View car. You're icing muscles that center backs don't even know exist. You're stretching body parts that strikers have never used. You're managing fatigue levels that would hospitalize a normal human being. International football comes calling, and you're competing with 3 other left backs for one position. The funny thing is, not just competing with left backs, you competing with center backs who can play left back, left midfielders, who can play left back and right backs who can do a job on the left. Everyone can play left back, apparently, but nobody wants to play left back. You make the squad, and the national team manager's first question is, can you play left midfield if needed? Can you play left midfield? You've been playing left midfield while pretending to be a left back for the last 15 years. Can you play left center back? Sure. Can you play left wing back? Obviously. Can you play left winger? If you must. Can you play left back? Well, that depends. Do you want me to defend, attack, or somehow do both simultaneously while also covering for everyone else's mistakes? The World Cup comes around and you're part of the squad. The media focuses on the strikers, the playmakers, the goalkeepers. You're mentioned in passing as solid defensive cover and a reliable option. You're not reliable, you're indispensable. Without you, the entire left side of the team collapses. But reliability doesn't sell newspapers or generate clicks. Reliability just keeps the team functioning. You play in the World Cup and your family is proud, but they don't really understand what you do. He's the one who runs up and down the side, they tell people. They're not wrong, but they're also not capturing the full complexity of your role. You're not just running up and down the side. You're orchestrating the entire left flank while also being ready to defend the center when needed. Years go by and you become the veteran left back. Young players come to you for advice and you want to tell them to play any other position. Be a goalkeeper, at least when you make a save, people cheer. Be a striker, at least when you score you get to celebrate. Be a center back, at least you get to head the ball away and look strong. Don't be a left back. Don't sign up for a lifetime of being essential but invisible, but you don't tell them that. You tell them about the satisfaction of a perfectly timed tackle, the joy of a well-delivered cross, the pride of a clean sheet. You don't tell them about the loneliness of being the only player expected to excel at everything. You don't tell them about the frustration of being crucial but unnoticed. You do untell them about the exhaustion of running more than anyone else while getting less credit than everyone else. You retire and people remember your consistency and your professionalism. They don't remember the hundreds of attacks you stopped, the thousands of crosses you delivered, the millions of meters you ran. They remember that you were there, doing your job, being reliable. You weren't spectacular, you were necessary. You weren't glamorous, you were essential. You become a coach, and the first thing you do is find the left-footed kid and stick him at left back. Because that's what you do, because someone has to do it. Because football needs left backs, even if football doesn't appreciate left backs. You teach him to cross with his left foot, to track back when needed, to bomb forward when possible, and to expect nothing in return except the quiet satisfaction of knowing he's holding everything together. That's why it sucks to be a left back. Because you're asked to be everything to everyone while being nothing to anyone. You're the most complete player on the pitch playing the most thankless position in football. You're essential but invisible, crucial but unnoticed, indispensable but underappreciated. You're not just a defender, you're not just an attacker, you're not just a midfielder, you're all of them at once, and none of them completely. And if you had to do it all again, you would. Because someone has to. Because the left side won't defend itself. Because football needs left backs, even if football doesn't deserve them.